Well, hello my friends, it's your old pal Jordan the Lion coming to you from the gateway to the Smokies, my very first time in Gatlinburg. And I want to go to the Celebrity Car Museum here. I want to check out some famous cars. Daze with Jordan the Lion begins right now. Hey, look at that. Gigantic Rubik's Cube. That looks like fun. Look at that bear hanging there, right over that big shrubbery tree. That is cool. And the museum we're going to is right next to this. And here we are. This is gonna be awesome. I'm a sucker for a nice car museum, but I'm even more of a sucker for Hollywood movie cars and celebrity cars. And I'm even more of a fan of novelties, like the ticket booth here, the Batmobile back end. As soon as we walk in, we're dealing with some superhero vehicles. Here you can see Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which incidentally, I was on an episode of that. Peter McNichol, did a scene with Peter McNichol. Take a look at these. That's Furious 7, Fast and the Furious 7. So right away you can't help but recognize this guy. This is an original Barris Batmobile. The George Barris style that he created based off of the 1955 Futura Lincoln. This says, for nearly 20 years, this Batmobile, being the television's most famous car, was displayed at the Guinness World Records Museum in Gatlinburg. Although still on exhibit at Guinness in 1996, the Batmobile was one of the vehicles that created what is now Hollywood Star Cars collection. 2011, Batmobile was moved to a permanent display here. This certifies that the 1966 Studio Batmobile, as seen in the TV show Batman, on display as part of the Hollywood Star Cars Museum in Gatlinburg, is licensed and listed as part of the George Barris Custom Car Collection. So that's the one. And an Adam West autographed photo. Kind of a whole new appreciation for looking at it now that we know, because I've seen not a million of them, but I've seen easily 10 of these at various places that I've traveled to, but to actually see the star car, the TV, they would call this the hero car. Look at all that, the bat radar, the bat scanner, all that stuff inside there. The bat phone. And this tells a little bit of the story of how the 1930s comic book became a serial shown in theaters in the 40s and then became a long-running TV show in the 1960s. And George Barris signed this as well, and if you want to see some more George Barris stuff on my channel, I went to the George Barris garage sale at Barris Custom. You can see all the cool stuff I found there. Do they sell these separately that I can put on my car? Here's a little bit of the history or the photos of the Futura, what he used to design this star car. And it's cool because when I went there, I talked to his grandson, and what his grandson said was, he goes, every time that one of these cars, well, for one thing, most every time George negotiated to provide the car for the show, but then he also agreed, or that was part of the agreement, was that he owned the car. So when the show wasn't in production, he would actually take it around the country to car shows and different things like that. And I said, wait a minute, the actual one? He goes, yeah, he would do that with the Batmobile, he would do it with the Munsters coach. I go, the actual one? What if something happened to it? You know, what would they do for the TV show? And he said, he always said, I can just build another. So I hadn't seen this movie yet, so I was sitting here looking at this going, I don't know what the heck this is from. Looks like it's from Ford versus Ferrari, which recently came out, and a friend of mine, Sean Kerrigan, is in that movie. Pretty cool to see. I'll have to check it out because I heard it's a great movie. And I dig this story, I mean, because I was into the whole like Carroll Shelby story and the Carroll Shelby automobiles and things like that, so I was really pumped to see this, and I just haven't yet. And a signed program from the cast. Inside you can see a photo of Christian Bale from the movie portraying Ken Miles up here from this photo. And then his driver's seat. And then this is pretty cool. This is the 1967 Mustang Shelby GT 500 Eleanor from Gone in 60 Seconds. Nicolas Cage. Man, that is a sweet car. See what I'm talking about with these Shelbys? They're just like a whole class unto themselves. I love taking a look inside too. When you can get that close, you got to. Now you can't mistake this. This is the world famous 1969 Dodge Charger, the General Lee, that was made famous in Dukes of Hazzard in 1979. Of course, the General Lee, the doors never opened. You always went in through the window. And they actually have. I've seen some of these where they don't paint that on the roof anymore, so. This is, look, you can see a little bit of wear even up on the seat. It's a pretty cool car. As a kid, I just always wanted one of these. I love that show and just always dreamed of having a General Lee. There we go. So right up here in the entryway, as we kind of circled around, I was looking at this, I didn't recognize it. This is Mark Harmon's car from NCIS. 1970 Dodge Challenger. And this I also didn't recognize. This is LL Cool J's car from NCIS. It's 2010 Dodge Challenger. Oh, that's really cool. That's the Flintmobile, the Flintstones car. Literally, they call it the Flintmobile. That was the one from the movie where John Goodman was Fred, Rick Moranis was Barney, Elizabeth Perkins was Betty, and I think Rosie O'Donnell was Betty, and I think Elizabeth Perkins was Wilma. That's kind of cool to see for fun nights out at the bowling alley, night on the town. If you're gonna go have a whole rib and have it tip over your car. That's cool to see though. Really well made, really cool. The seats and everything. Nice. So our next one is from Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which was a great movie. Here's some of the ripped leather jacket that Arnold's wearing in the movie with all the holes on it and everything. You can see some Polaroids below. And it says these are actual movie props from the movie. It says that's the endo arm and stasis tube and Sarah Connor's sunglasses in the photo. So this is really cool. This is the actual Terminator 2 motorcycle. The one from the movie. It says that it was extensively used throughout the filming and that Mario Kassar, the movie's producer, kept the motorcycle for his personal collection, and then it was sold to another private collector, and the museum here was able to get it from him. Kind of cool to see. What a monumental movie. I mean, when that came out, that was such a great freaking movie. And Schwarzenegger was great in it. Take a look at the wear and tear on the seat and everything. You can see 732 miles. And this guy right here just told me the rest of the museum is upstairs. So now we gotta go upstairs. Thanks for the tip, dude. Christine! It's Christine! Oh, hey, look at that. That is a nice surprise. The Munsters Dragula. I love it. Look at that. There's Grandpa inside. That is so freaking cool. Butch Patrick, who played Eddie, has one of these that he tours around with and takes to appearances, but wowza. Good looking Herman in his leather jacket next to the house. So it's cool as he says on the little placard that the original Munsters coach was so popular that they decided to add this just for one episode where Grandpa and Herman drag race, and it was so popular that they ended up adding it to the final credits of the following season so people could keep seeing it over and over again. That is a great episode. Such a great episode. It says this was also a George Barris car that he created this. Brilliant idea of using the casket. And you can see in here they even created a George Barris Star Car Theater. You can see a story of all the things he worked on. They have a little bit of a back end of some cars in here for you to sit on.
Every place the cars seemed to go, there was some kind of an occurrence that happened.
He's talking about the James Dean death car. So that's the reason that George Barris was talking in that video about the James Dean car. This is not the original. This is a replica of what James Dean was driving in that crash. But Barris claims to have done the work on that car. Other people that I have talked to said they can't really verify what he actually did to the car. They said he very well could have just put the number on there and that's it, and he would have kind of taken credit. So I don't really know, but kind of interesting to see the Porsche that Jimmy's last day would have ended in, or at least the same style. This is insane. These are all James Bond props from various movies. I mean, you got a little bit of everything. Fort Knox Gold Bar. Sean Connery playing James Bond's silencer. The diamonds from Die Another Day. The waterproof Walkman from View to a Kill. The Thunderball underwater breather. And this is Odd Jobs Bowler. And this is also a Barris custom car. This is 007 James Bond's Roadster from GoldenEye. GoldenEye was one of the Pierce Brosnan. Interesting. Then back here we have one of the bumblebees from Transformers. You can see. Wow. Lots of rust. Lots of wear on that beauty. So this is the other bumblebee. When he's on the run, he goes into disguise. He seeks refuge in a junkyard. But they say this particular bumblebee took a break from Transformers to be in Walmart's 2019 Famous Cars commercial. So he's been pulling double duty, making guest appearances. Now over here, I saw the stunt cycle at a museum in Indiana that's no longer there, but this looks like this is the hero bike from Ghost Rider, Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider. And they also have his gloves and his leather jacket. Wow, that is cool. That's a great movie. That's really cool. There he is. Whoa! And there you can see the gloves and the gun and the jacket and everything. Now this was one of the main reasons I came. This is the car. This is the actual 1922 Oldsmobile that they used for the Beverly Hillbillies. Even though the museum that I go to, the Hollywood Museum, has one, they don't actually say that theirs is the real one, because it's not. This is the real one. It's lived here for quite a while. And that's where Granny would have been sitting, of course. So cool to see this. I love this show. I love seeing this.
No dunderheads.
I don't blame her. No dunderheads. Jethro! Ooh! Look at him. Family photo. Funny story about this is that Max Baer and Granny, Irene Ryan, auditioned together. And they got there a little early and got nervous, and Granny went and tied one on, and they both ended up getting the parts, but Irene Ryan was actually kind of drunk when she auditioned. How great is that? Look at that. So, of course, if you know the intro, Jethro's driving, Jed is in the passenger seat, Ellie Mae, and then Granny. That is so freaking neat to see. Check this out. You probably heard the music in the background, but this is the Bandit. It's the 1977 Pontiac Bandit that Burt Reynolds drives in the movie Smokey and the Bandit when he's out running from Buford T. Justice. Of course, Sally Field was in this, and the great Jerry Reed as the snowman. Kind of cool to take a look inside. And that's pretty cool to see. They actually have one of Burt Reynolds' shirts from the movie in there. One of his costumes. I would love to drive one of those one time. Now this is a Mayberry Motorcycle from the Andy Griffith Show. It's kind of cool to see. It actually says it. I mean, it actually says Mayberry on there. So it's the real deal. And then right next to it is the squad car. That is freaking nuts. I can't believe they have this here. I often wondered what happened to this. Autographed by Don Knotts inside the car. Look, and they've even got the courthouse and everything, the set. That is so freaking nuts. Don Knotts' signature. And you can also take a look inside the actual squad car. Citizens arrest! Now this is kind of cool. This is the aerial shot of the MGM lot, or the Desilu lot, when they were filming this. And I actually did a whole vlog on this. If you look up the 40-acre lot on my channel, I go to the actual place and show you what it looks like now and where all that was. A forgotten movie, but a good one. Twister. This is Joe's car from Twister. If you haven't seen this in a while, go back and rewatch it. Philip Seymour Hoffman, Helen Hunt. Really, really great. Bill Paxton. And look, they even have one of the Dorothys in the back. Dorothy number 1. And here we have one of the MASH Jeeps. 4077. And we got Alan Alda back there. Mike Farrell. That's pretty cool to see one of the real ones. And then we also have Radar O'Reilly, but no Klinger. Now here we have the Ghostbusters car. How cool is that? That is freaking nuts. And it's really cool to know that Dan Aykroyd had a heavy hand in kind of helping to design this and come up with what car would actually be perfect for the Ghostbusters in the movie. A lot of that goes to him. What a classic vehicle. Wow. Of course, that's Herbie the Lovebug. I also really liked that movie when I was growing up. Tim Conway. Now this is awesome. This is Bob Hope's car. You can see it's a 1953 Buick Skylark owned by Bob. At first when I walked by, I was like, hey, that's the same color and everything as the Karate Kid car, so I immediately like the style. And I love how they're displaying it with the Palm Springs Country Club sign and everything, and then they have a little figure back there of Bob Hope, but kind of looks kind of creepy. But you can see in here there's a photo of Bob and Dean, Jerry Lewis, different people, then some golf clubs in the back, and then there's that Bob Hope. Pretty cool car. And take a look at this. This is an Elvis car. Of course. Can't come anywhere in Tennessee without having Elvis. I mean, that's just like a given. And it's got the TCB on it. Oh, beautiful. So here's a bunch of memorabilia, and you can see a TCB machine gun in there with EP on it. Hilarious. And then a TCB patch down here. And then this is really cool to see. This was Michael Jackson's car. His Mercedes. And then what's neat about it is they have a photo right up above of him wearing a mask, as though it's 2020, in that car. There's his logo. Pretty cool car. Never seen a Michael Jackson car before. Now I was looking at this and I said, wait a minute, what movie car is this? And then the more I looked at it, I go, oh, I understand why it's in here. It says right on the windshield why it's here. Sir Paul McCartney's 2006 single edition Cadillac. take a look inside Paul's car. This is kind of an interesting piece. It's a sun visor, autographed by Paul McCartney, Tony Bennett, and Jay Leno. Paul McCartney's ownership papers with his address. And of course, a Back to the Future time machine DeLorean. It's not the original. We've seen the original in the Peterson Automotive Museum in LA. And to be honest, I've seen so much of this and so many of these everywhere I go, I'm almost bored with seeing them. Sorry to say. Oh, it's really cool to see this again. The mellow yellow car from Days of Thunder. I used to see this all the time when my family would go to Kings Island when I was a kid. When Paramount owned Kings Island, they had this on display there. Also, at the same time, they had the Mirthmobile from Wayne's World on display. That looks like, here's a Richard Petty trophy. And this is Steve McQueen's Le Mans vehicle. And then they also have one of his motorcycles. That's a really, really freaking cool car. And then here's a 1966 BSA Lightning, Steve McQueen's. That's freaking nuts. And this is from Charlie's Angels. Take a look at that. That is Dolly Parton's 1997 Cadillac de Elegance. And they have a bunch of Dolly stuff over here. Kind of cool to see one of her cars though. Not as flashy as you'd think. You'd think with Dolly it'd be pink and popping and everything, but no. Pretty normal stock car. Then here they've got a great Dolly pink rocking chair. And there's an autographed guitar by Dolly up here to the museum itself. You can see up here. And here's Dolly with that car right here. And there's one of Dolly's dresses on display. And here's Dolly with that car at her Nashville studio. Oh, this is really cool. This is a 1955 Ford Thunderbird driven by Dennis Wilson, who we vlogged not too long ago. It's really cool to see this. And it's all signed by all of them, it looks like. See? Mike Love, Bruce Johnson. Oh, this is more of the newer guys, but you don't see Brian Wilson or anybody like that on there, but it is cool to see a car. Says that in 1991, this T-Bird, formerly owned by Beach Boy Dennis Wilson, underwent a complete frame-off restoration. Interesting. So this was one of the ones that he used to drive on a regular basis. Personal collection. I mean, I have to believe this is the one that Brian was writing the songs about when they started out. I mean, Dennis was known for just taking off in this car and going and doing drag races and going to the beach and everything when he get in a fight with Murray. So yeah, this is probably the car he had in high school. So here we have another Fast and Furious car. This is a 66 Stingray that Michelle Rodriguez used for the movie. Here's another Fast and Furious car. This is an Aston Martin from Furious 7 for you Furious fans. So here we have one of The Rock's motorcycles. It says that he donated this 2006 Harley Davidson to an online auction to raise money. Very cool. He's always been a really good guy. And this is Vin Diesel's Corvette, driven in the movies Fast and Furious. Not spending a whole lot of time on those because I didn't watch those movies. Here we have a Batmobile, and it looks like this one was, I'm trying to guess because they always, like every movie early on, they would change just a little bit about either the car or the costume, depending on who was directing. So let's see if we can't figure out which one this would have been from. Would this been Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer? Which Batman? Oh, look at all these cool Batman props though. That's freaking neat. So that's Two-Face, that was Tommy Lee Jones, and that was Batman Returns. So I bet it's Batman Returns. Yep, I just saw it. It is definitely from Batman Returns. And look, there's Jim Carrey's Riddler mask at the bottom. Here's another Fast and Furious car. Well, I think we've seen it all. Was it worth it? Yeah, I think so. I think it was pretty freaking amazing. What do you guys think? And on your way out, be cautious. You don't want this guy to run you over. Wow, definitely a must-see when you're here. Hollywood star cars. Movie, TV, and celebrity cars. Not bad to get in either. I think it was like 15 or 16 bucks, not too bad. Well, my friends, we're gonna call it a day. Thank you all for watching. Tim Kuba, I hope you enjoyed this vlog, and we'll see you all next time. Have a great night, and goodbye.